Thank you, Ramesh, for conducting this
Thank you,
session.
Guruji.
And I think most of you know him. He's attends the online ashram. Sometimes in the mornings, in the
Yeah.
evenings, and so on. Our Sri Yoga ashram. And again, he has both Mangal and Ramesh have hosted many musicians, and so he knows them
Yes.
personally. And this is an interesting perspective that the spiritual aspects of their practice, and this will really be very interesting for anyone that's interested in spirituality as well as in classical music. So with that, let's start. And Mr. Padhe, he is going to play the slides, and Ramesh is going to talk about it. So whenever you are ready, Mukund, we can have Swara start with the song about Saraswati.
Yes, Guruji, she's ready. I'm just gonna give my spot to her for a minute.
Okay. Hello, Swara.
Hi, hi everyone. So
Excuse me.
my name is Swara, and before the program begins, I will be singing a Saraswati stotra that I prepared. So. या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मा
सरस्वती भगवती निशेष जाड्यापहा निशेष जाड्यापहा.
So much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Swara.
Exceptional Rag Yaman, isn't
Yeah,
it?
Ragyaman.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Belief in miracles doesn't mean rejection of science and its benefits. It simply means that there is the possibility of an extra dimension to our experiences. There is a bigger world out there which we cannot comprehend with our small minds and spirits. Believers in miracles accept them because they have evidence for them, and the evidence is what they have seen or heard from reliable sources. But disbelievers reject them because they have a doctrine, for example, science, against them. Now, what is so special about the classical music and the musicians that the spiritual experiences come to them and not to an ordinary person like me? The first reason is that our classical music originated from Samaveda, so there is that spirituality in them. I will give an example of an episode which is not very well known. Pandit Omkarnath Thakur was a giant in classical music, and his name is still remembered. And Omkarnath's tour was sponsored by some organization in Europe. And when he reached Italy, I don't know what thought came into his mind. He wanted an appointment with Benito Mussolini, the dictator. And somehow Benito Mussolini thought it would be a good change, and he also gave the appointment. When Omkarnathji reached Benito Mussolini, he asked whether he could sing something. And Benito Mussolini, of course, said, "You can." So Omkarnathji Thakur started singing. I don't know what he sang. He started singing, and slowly, Benito Mussolini's face became very serious, and it clouded. And Omkarnathji thought that tears might come from his eyes. But at the same moment, Benito Mussolini got up and went into the other room, and he freshened himself and came out. So Omkarnathji said that this is one example where a cruel dictator whose only hobby was to exterminate certain people, he was also deeply moved by classical music. So this is one reason how the spiritual experiences come to the classical musicians. The second reason is that the compositions or the songs which the classical musicians sing are always related to God. And this applies not only to the Hindu musicians, but also Muslim musicians. Of course, we know Pandit Jasraj ji sings about all the Lord Krishna and Lord Rama songs, and also the other spiritual songs. And uh, it is not only confined to the Hindus, but for example, Amir Khan was a legendary musician, and his Raga Malakaus, you know the song which used to sing in Raga Malakaus? Jinake Mana Rama Viraje. Then Badegula Malli Khan was very famous for his tumris, and the tumris he used to sing were Hari Om Tat Sat, Mandir Dekhe Aja Sudama. Then Bhimsenji sings Sham Bajaye Aja Muraliya. So there always the presence of God in the songs, they sing, and that, of course, blesses them with their sincerity. Now, some people might say, that, oh, we know musicians, they have got all kinds of bad habits, and they blah, blah, blah. Now, yes, they have bad habits, but most of the time they are deeply immersed in their music. For example, if you have spent time with some artists, classical artists, and I have spent with all of them, almost all of them, and one thing I've found that they may talk to you various things, but still you can see that their mind is somewhere else. For example, if you're talking to Zakir, then he will be playing drums in his lap. When you talk to Pandit Bhimsenji also, he will be something in the third world. For example, once I went to his place. My father-in-law was the best friend of Pandit Bhimsenji, so I had an occasion to go to many times to Pandit Bhimsenji. And once I went at the time of Sankranta, and his wife gave him a laddu, of sesame, tilgul as we call it. And she said, uh, take this laddu and give it to Mr. Waghmare, so then he will bow down to you. So saying, she went in the kitchen. When she came back, Bhimsenji was still holding that laddu in his hand, and it was sort of getting pulverized. And then Mrs. Bhimsen almost got annoyed, and she said, give it to Ramesh. And he said, oh, oh, oh. And so he gave it to me, and then I bowed out to him. And this is not only Bhimsenji, but this applies to all the generally musician. And therefore, they might have bad vices, but their mind is always at the top of their psyche, and they submerge those bad thoughts. Uh, Finally, there is one thing I have observed, that many of you only like the fast tempo in a raga. For example, there would be alapi, and you would generally ignore the alapi, but when the fast songs comes, then you will hear it. Some people even fast forward it. I have seen it, but don't do that. Alapi is the soul of our classical music. Alapi is like Om. When we are doing meditation with Guruji, he plays Onkar, and the Onkar cycle goes on. In the same way, you will get the same impression when you hear the alapi of good musicians like Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, or even instrumental alapi like by Pandit Ravi Shankar. Maybe in future, sometime, in April, May, whatever, if there is one gap or some opening, then I can demonstrate to you with the clips from these musicians. So alapi is very important, and you must hear this alapi. Actually, personally, I prefer alapi much more than the fast song. And 70% of a classical raga is full of alapi, and only 20%, 10 or 30% is the fast tempo song. Now, in this talk, I'm going to talk about the miracles which were experienced by three Bharat Ratnas. So, and they have got authentic sources, so I'm not making them up. And those three Bharat Ratnas are Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, then second is Ustad Bismillah Khan, and the third is our favorite Ravi Shankar. First, let me take Pandit Bhimsenji. Pandit Bhimsenji learned from uh, Savai Gandharva, and by the age of 12, uh, he was able to sort of sing some classical tunes. Uh, and so his father called him and he said, Bhimsen, please go to the town of Mantralaya on the banks of Tungabhadra River, because this temple on the banks of Tungabhadra River housed the memorial of Raghavendra Swami. Raghavendra Swami was the family deity of the Joshi family, Bhimsen Joshi. You know, you probably all have your own deities, family deity. And that was uh, Raghavendra Swami was the family deity. So Bhimsenji went with his troupe, his tabla player and his harmonium player and the accompanists. And in the morning, he would sing in front of the image because the Raghavendra Swami had passed away long ago. And you can see here, this is myself, welcoming Bhimsenji because we, especially for me, my father-in-law hosted a reception party for Bhimsenji. And we were all there, my wife was there. And she actually, Bhimsenji regarded her almost as a niece. And so this is, after that, we had a long talk with Pandit Bhimsenji. So he went to Mantralaya and he would sing in the morning with his troupe. But in the evening, he liked to go out and sit in a bench and just do riyaz. Now, when you do riyaz, you do not really sing the whole song. You sometimes take the passages of the swaras or the improvise, you just improvise. And he found that when he was improvising, a black dog came and sat in front of him. And the black dog behaved as if he understood classical music. And he was looking at Bhimsenji with rapt attention. All his faculties were as if trying to absorb all the notes which Bhimsenji was singing. This went on for 3 days. So one day, Bhimsenji asked the priests there, "Have you ever seen a black dog?" And the priests laughed. He said, "Not only in the precincts of our temple, but even in this area where we always go, we have never seen a black dog." And then the priest thought, maybe this guy is bluffing. So next day, when Bhimsenji went for practice in the evening, then these temple priests, they hid behind the front door to just see what happens. Well, there starts Bhimsenji with his heavenly alapi, and the dog comes and sits in front, and the priests were amazed. Actually, the way the dog was behaving, they were convinced that that was Swami Raghavendra himself coming in the persona of a dog and blessing Bhimsenji. So they were convinced. Now, after Bhimsenji came inside, the temple priest said, "Bhimsen, that was not a dog. That was Swami Raghavendra coming to bless you." But Bhimsenji did not believe, "Oh, how can a dog be a Swami Raghavendra?" But after that, Bhimsenji's whatever passages he was finding difficult, those passages became easy. Whatever ragas he was finding difficult to fathom or difficult to decipher, they also could decipher. So he really believed that it was Swami Raghavendra. So this was one miracle of a Bharat Ratna, and this is the Bharat Ratna, and that is my wife. This is Mrs. Bhimsen, and this is Bhimsenji's daughter, and this is some nobody, I don't know. So then next miracle is of Pandit Ravi Shankar. Who doesn't know Pandit? Okay. Next miracle is of Ustad Bismillah Khan. Bismillah Khan was our guest for 15 days. Because of their habit of namaz and their food habits, we put them as per their request in a motel, and we arranged for a restaurant to provide them whatever food they wanted. I used to go after my office every evening because we had not advertised the uh, news that he's in town, because people would start inviting, and he didn't want that. He had told us bluntly. And so sometimes my wife also would go. And a funny thing is that one evening when my wife and we went, he invited himself by telling my wife that I like Marathi amti, and so tomorrow I will come to eat Marathi amti, and my boys will eat uh, the halal food, halal meat. And you can see the smirk on Ustad Bismillah Khan's face. He was such a graceful person, and this is in our living room. And after lunch, actually, he, till evening, he was talking to us. And his nephew, who is his favorite, not his son, his nephew told us that never has he seen Abbaji go without a nap after lunch. This is the first time I have seen him. So Bismillah Khan became very close. So one day when I went, I had just read the news that Bismillah Khan saw Balaji or uh, Lord Vishnu himself. So I just asked him, and he became serious. And he said, I don't like to talk about it, but you have treated me like a member of your family, and therefore I will tell you. And the story he told was he learned Shehnai from his Mamu, maternal uncle, and the Mamu's job was to go to the Kashi Vishweshwara temple in Banaras, the famous one, play Shehnai in the morning, and as the devotees were coming and going. And in the afternoon, he may go, may not go, but in the evening, he made it a point to go to the temple and improvise, just do, some alapi and some notes and some musical passages. And by the age of 12, Bismillah Khan was quite ready also. He was giving small programs. So he told Bismillah, why don't you go in the evening and practice there? And Bismillah says, okay. But Mamu told him something rather strange. Mamu said, if you see anything or hear anything, don't tell me. And Bismillah thought, why did he say that? He thought maybe, rich people come and disturb me. So he did not want me to be disturbed by those rich people. Or if they're talking or gossiping, I should not tell him. I said, that makes sense. So he went. On the third day he was playing, he suddenly started to smell jasmine and musk. And he liked that smell. It was so wonderful. It had the sweet aroma was getting into his system, and he was feeling very inspired. But the aroma became so strong that it was almost overwhelming him, and he could not bear it. And so he opened his eyes, and what he saw scared him to death. There was Balaji or Lord Vishnu in all his attire, the crown and all the jewels on the hands and necklace, and with a luster shining like the sun. And Bismillah Khan was so scared because he thought, what guarantees that this is Vishnu? It may be some ghost. So he closed his eyes again. After some time, he just opened one eye. And lo and behold, Balaji was still there. And Balaji was actually talking this time. He said, son, my son, play on. I like your prayers. So by now, Bismillah thought he was going to have epileptic attack. So he was so scared, he bundled up his Shehnai and he went to his Mamu. Mamu immediately know. He knew from his face, which was shining, and there was an aura around his face, that Bismillah has seen that. And so Mamu put his fingers on his mouth to indicate that don't talk, stupid, don't talk. But Bismillah was so excited that he blurted out what had happened in the temple. And Mama was so mad, he slapped him hard. And Bismillah Khan said, Mama, why did you slap me? Then he said, remember I told you, don't tell me anything what you hear or what you see. He says, this is the same mistake I made. Balaji came to me. I told my father after coming home, and after that, I never saw Balaji. And oh, what a beautiful image, what an inspiring image, what a calming image. It gave me such a peace of mind that it developed my faculties, the creative faculties. But he said, don't worry. When he saw Bismillah's face rather depressed and sunken, he told Bismillah, son, don't be sad. You may not see Balaji again, but the level of your playing will go so high and you will get all the ragas and passages very easily. And we know after that, this simple instrument, Bismillah, which is played by the people of lower caste in marriages, Bismillah took it to the best stages in England, France, and all other countries. In 1967, there was an expo in Montreal, and the opening ceremony was the performances of Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Bismillah Khan. And we were so happy that this had happened. This is us bidding farewell to Bismillah Khan after 15 days. And we were so sad, to see him leave because he was almost like a saint. And we really adore him. And so this was the miracle which happened in the case of Bismillah. Now, the third miracle is of Pandit Ravi Shankar. Pandit Ravi Shankar, as you know, he played the same role for music as Swami Vivekananda played for the spread of Hinduism and creating the friendship between various religions. Pandit Ravi Shankar spent his youth up to the age of 17 almost in Paris because his brother Uday Shankar had a dance troupe, Darpana, and all the rich aristocrats and all the rich owners of properties, they gave a lot of grants to Uday Shankar for his dance troupe because they had never seen Indian dance. And here was a dancer who was presenting all kinds of dance dramas, of Lord Krishna and uh, Radha and Rama and Sita and all that. And they were, so Ravi Shankar had a very luxurious life and also I must say a wild life. And I'm not saying this, he's saying himself in his autobiography. Now, Ravi Shankar studied for 7 years with Baba Alauddin Khan because when he was with Uday Shankar, 1 year Baba Alauddin Khan came there and Uday Shankar said, Baba, can you teach this fellow something? He uh, spends the whole day, going around and, all kinds of bad things. So Baba started teaching. First week, Ravi Shankar brought sitar to study. Next week, he brought sarod. Third week, he brought flute. Till Baba was fed up and he told Uday Shankar, I cannot teach this guy. This guy is like a butterfly. He flies from one flower to the other. In this case, the instrument. So Uday Shankar said, come on, Ravi, you are going to India and studying with Baba full time. So he took him to India and Raviji studied with Baba for 7 years from the years 1937 to 1944, he studied very seriously for 4 years, after which he started getting programs. But Baba said, your training is not complete, so you must come uh, next 3 years off and on whenever you find the time. And Ravi Shankar kept coming. After 7 years, he went out full blast, and he has so much invitations, so many invitations, that his bank balance was increasing. And of course, he didn't mind. And he was in so much demand that sometimes in a day he would have two programs. Now, when he was rolling in money like this, a, as they say, Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi, he thought, I would start a drama company like Uday. So, to make dance dramas, because the government of India had once called him to direct a dance drama, and he said, I will start a company and start staging dance dramas and earn more money. So he started the dance company. But to start a dance company, you have to pay all the artists regularly. And all his savings was exhausted, and he had to borrow. So much so that one day the banks and the other creditors came to him and said, when are you going to pay us our money? And he felt very humiliated. And so he said, very soon, very soon. Then he locked his door and started playing and crying, and decided to commit suicide. And how? By sleeping on the rails under a train. And so as he was thinking about suicide, a person came, and he said he was from the Maharaja of Jodhpur, and the Maharaja wanted his program in the evening. And Raviji said, okay, I will get some money, and after that, I will commit suicide. So the fellow went away. After some time, there was a knock on the door, and a person comes in, and it was obvious that that person was a disciple of some guru. The way he was dressed, he had a dhoti and the gandha on the forehead. And so he said, our guru, Tata Baba, wants to use your washroom. So Ravi said, sure. He had heard about Tata Baba, but when Tata Baba came in, Tata means father. Tata means father. So it was like a father figure to those disciples. So when Tata Baba came, he looked very young, and there was all aura around him, and Rabiji was very impressed, but he was surprised that he's so young. Anyway, Tata Baba went and did his business and came out. And the first thing he told Raviji is there, do not ever commit suicide. And Raviji was very, very surprised. And he bowed down to him. And Tata Baba said, this is not enough. You come in the evening and pray to me by way of your sitar. So Raviji said, okay, I will come. And then Tata Baba said further, I know you have a program with the Maharaja of Jodhpur, and you would have gotten a lot of money, but don't worry about that money. Your fortune will start pretty soon. So in the evening, cancelling the program of Maharaja of Jodhpur, Ravi Shankar went there, prayed for Tata Baba. Tata Baba was very, very impressed. He blessed him. And while Raviji was leaving, he told him, I just have one order to you. Do not ever again think of suicide. That is the way of the coward. So Raviji said, okay. So Raviji went home. Now, he was inspired. He was very, very happy. And he was playing. He played for 3 days. the way he had never played before. He had new energy. On the fourth day, the same disciple came and said, Tata Baba is at our place. So can you come? He wants you to come and play for him. So he said, okay. So he went with Raviji. The disciple sat down. There was a circle of people singing and chanting the name of Tata Baba. And everybody was there. A lot of the disciples he knew were there. The only person missing was Tata Baba. And other thing in that room was a cage with a parrot. And when Raviji asked this disciple, where is Tata Baba? Then the disciple shushed him, and he said, see that cage? That parrot is Tata Baba. Now Raviji said to himself, oh, I believe in Tata Baba, but this is too much, I mean, how can a parrot be a Tata Baba? But afterwards, he saw the Leela, he saw the gestures of this parrot, appreciating attentively what was being sung by the devotees. And Raviji writes in his autobiography, these are not my words, that he was convinced that it was Tata Baba. One step further, after that, even though he never saw, he would not see Tata Baba, Raviji knew that he was a spiritual force who was with him all the time, whether Tata Baba was physically present or not. But the story doesn't end here. Raviji writes that very often when I was performing in foreign countries, I would see Tata Baba seated in the first row in a three-piece suit and smiling at me and as if saying, you thought I would not come here, huh? I'm here. So Raviji said, this was very funny to him, but it always gave him inspiration. And he said, I don't believe in any other spiritual force, but for me, the only spiritual force I believed in was Tata Baba. So this was the third miracle of a Bharat Ratna. Now, I will also talk about one more miracle of Pandit Jasraj ji. He told us, Pandit Jasraj ji, if I want to name one person whose company we enjoyed the most, that was Pandit Jasraj ji, because he had so many stories, of to tell. He's lived with us many times, and in the morning he would get up, and we had a loft, and the loft had such beautiful acoustics that Pandit ji would go there and sing songs, mostly bhajan, but sometimes he would also sing the morning ragas. For example, Ahir Bhairav. Now, classical musicians don't make a distinction between the Hindu and Muslim and other religions. So in Ahir Bhairav, he used to sing, Mero Allah Meherban, Koi Bigad Sakkat Nahi Tero. So this was his Ahir Bhairav. And he used to sing also Miya Ki Todi. In Todi, the song was Allah Jane Maula Jane, Ali Nabib Ke Noor Barasat Hai, Jagme Hasan Hussein Chain Jiye. So all that, Then, of course, Pandit Jasraj ji has done the most for the spiritualization of music. For instance, Pandit Jasraj ji had so many beautiful scriptures turned into the ragas. For example, his Raga Hausadvani, the song is Pavanaputa Hanuman. His Rag Darbari Kannada is Shankaracharya's Nirvana Shatakam. He always starts his program with Anantahari Narayana, Mangalam Garudadhvaja. In Rag Kedar, his song was Gokula Mein Bajat Kahan Badhai. In Rag Bageshri, he had Veena Sushobhita, Sharadindu Vadani, E Hansavahini. This was the song. So Jasraj was very spiritual, and he told us a spiritual story about his elder brother Maniramji. Jasraj's father, Motiramji, was a court singer, and after he passed away, there was nobody to support. Only his eldest brother, Pandit Ravi Maniramji, was supporting them, and he used to get a lot of programs, so they used to feed themselves. And Jasraj told us that there were many days when we would only eat once a day. But unfortunately, what happened one day, Maniramji lost his voice. The worst thing had happened. Now, what is to be done? The doctors took a lot of care. The doctors had gave all kinds of medicines, and they tried their best, but nothing could happen. And so Maniramji was depressed, and even Jasraj and his elder brother, who was between Maniramji and himself, Pratap Narayan, they were also depressed. So somebody told me that go to Bapu Maharaj, uh, Bapu Maharaj of Sanand, Waghela. Bapu Maharaj Waghela, who is the royalty of Sanand. Remember, in those days, there was royalty. I am talking about 1944, when Jasraj was 14. And so he has the reputation of curing such things. So Maniramji went there, and Bapu Sahib Waghela, very kind man, he was a king, and he welcomed him, and he told, it was a small uh, royalty, small princely state. So he said, go to sleep, and tomorrow I will go to the inner sanctum of the temple, in the Gabhara of the temple, and do my puja, which will go on for 3 hours. And he said, I'm going to start at 9 o'clock at night. So you be ready with your song, practice during the day, whatever you want, but you must be singing for 3 hours continuously. So Maniramji agreed. 9 o'clock, Maniramji, Jasraj, Pratap Narayan, all they went. And Maniramji started to sing. And Bapu Sahib Waghela was in the inner sanctum, in the Gabhara, doing his puja. His puja was supposed to last 3 hours. And here, Maniramji, as he kept on singing, his voice kept on opening. So, slowly and slowly, by the 12 o'clock struck, Maniramji's voice had completely come back. It had become as flexible as before. About that time, Bapu Sahib Waghela opened the door of the Gavhara, the inner sanctum, looked at Jasraj and said, everything okay? And Jasraj says, yes. So then Waghela told all, always sing the songs of Krishna and on the gods only. And Bapu Sahib himself was a great poet. So a lot of the songs which Jasraj sings, which many of the songs I mentioned just now, they are composed by Bapu Sahib Waghela. So this was the miracle which happened in the case of his elder brother. Pandit Jasraj was a devotee of Satyasri Sai Baba. So there is another slide, I think, of Satyasri Sai Baba. Yeah, here you can see. And this is, Jasraj was almost like a member of our family, and he is just now, interacting with our son, Gemini. And he was so much fun. And our boys also said, that he's a cool guy. Because he would spend hours in the basement, and they played their own music, Western music, and Jasraj used to appreciate that also. And he even offered them to go to India and record them, but the kids are moody. He said, "Oh, no, 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 no." And here you can see Panditji in front of Satyasri Sai Baba. My wife also is a devotee of Satyasri Sai Baba, and actually Jasrajit once took her to the birthday uh, of Satyasri Sai Baba in Puttaparthi and had a program there, and Satyasri Sai Baba blessed her with 2 saris. And so Jasrajji was, and he had told us so many stories, but I think I will stop about Jasrajji and go to the next guy. The next I'm going to take is uh, Ram Narayan, Sarangi player. There were 2 Sarangi players who were at the top of the Sarangi world. That is Pandit one Ram Narayan, and secondly, Ustad Sultan Khan. Ustad Sultan Khan was one of the dearest friends of mine, and our whole family liked him very much. Now, in the case, I will come to later to Ustad Sultan Khan. Right now, we'll talk about Narayanji. He was a great devotee of he was a great devotee of Raman Maharshi. He was a great devotee of Raman Maharshi, and he would get inspiration from him whenever he was in trouble or he had to be inspired. Once, Ilya Raja, who is a very famous South Indian orchestra conductor, he had his program, and generally his programs are houseful. And after his program, they had kept Ram Narayanji's program. So he prayed to Lord Raman Maharshi, and Raman Maharshi gave him inspiration, and he played in such a way that people appreciated him, and they even partly forgot the program of Ilya Raja. Now, his guru was Udaylalji, and Udaylalji was teaching him Raga Malakaus, and he was not getting it. So, till the jidd, the uh, the decision of Pandit Ramnarayan was that I'm going to master this raga. So he kept on practicing and practicing. And once Udaylalji saw him practicing, and he said, "Don't practice too much like a maniac, sing in sur." So, but Ramnarayanji did not listen to him. This Padma Bhushan Sarangi player was once practicing Malkaus, and he was practicing and practicing, he just lost himself, and he was not knowing that he was playing Besura, he was out of tune and so on, but he was so immersed, that next moment he dreamt as if he was in a bleak, black cave, and the all kinds of hobgoblins, all kinds of strange creatures were surrounding him, and he was scared to death. And so he immediately went to sleep, without thinking about anything. Next day, he went to Udaylalji. He said, "Guru, why did this happen to me? I was surrounded by hobgoblins, and almost like I was in the cemetery." And Udaylalji said, "You know what? Lord Shiva, there is a Nath Sampradaya. For example, our Yogi Adityanath belongs to the Nath Sampradaya. He said, in the Nath Sampradaya, Lord Shiva is the lord of the cemetery. He is called Sananath. Sananath. Sana means smashan or the cemetery, and Nath, he is the god of that. So when he hears something Besura, you know, his Sananatha Rupa, his Sananatha form materializes itself. And that is the form you saw. So the lesson is, don't practice too much. Practice with intelligence, use your head. So from that day, Narayan, Ram Narayan started practicing using his head and always in Sur. And Ram Narayan ji's Malkaus is one of the best you can hear on Sarangi. So this was Ram Narayan ji. Now, the last one is my dear friend Ustad Sultan Khan. This huge guy had the softest heart and very emotional also. Ustad Sultan Khan uh, told me two things. He said, never be proud of anything, never have ego. And secondly, always respect the elders. Now, I will only tell you about his story about the ego. In 1971, Sultan Khan was at the top of his art, and he was getting so many contracts, and he was also playing with the music directors and getting a lot of money. And he thought, oh man, I am the next best thing to sliced bread. I am at the top of the world. And so he became so proud. And he was going, walking on a street, in that particular pride. A car came and brushed against him, and his elbow was hurt, but he thought he would go home and it will automatically, it would cease to hurt. He went home and rested, but nothing happened and the pain increased. So next day he went to the doctor, and the doctor called a surgeon, and they operated on him, put on a bandage and said, come after 1 week. So Sultan Khan went after 1 week, and by that time, not only his pain had not reduced, but his arm was swollen. So he went and said, this is what has happened. And the surgeon said, I'm sorry, that's all we could do. We cannot do anything more for you. You will have to stop playing Sarangi. And he said, sir, if I stop playing Sarangi, what do I eat? Because Sarangi is my livelihood. So he said, we don't know. Then one of his friends told him, there is a fakir in one particular mosque. And that fakir, I have heard, cures the ailments which have been discarded as hopeless cases by the doctors. So he went to the mosque, which was on the banks of a pond, and he went to the mosque, and the other people, other fakirs showed him the fakir who used to cure. So Sultan Khan went to him and said, Baba, this is my problem, my whole livelihood is in danger, So that fakir was eccentric. So he said, what can I do? He said, oh, I have got this problem, elbow problem, So he said, what can I do? I'm not a doctor, he said, And Sultan Khan knew, that this fellow was hard to crack, hard not to crack. So he just sort of bowed down to him, touched his feet, and he said, oh, please, please, cure me. So what that fakir did was that there was a dhuni, there is that uh, ashtray sort of thing, there is a dhuni, which is a constant flame going on, and uh, there were ashes around it. He took a handful of ashes, wrapped it in a cloth, in a tattered cloth, and gave it to him. He said, apply it for 1 week and then see what happens. And then Sultan Khan asked, what shall I do if it doesn't cure itself? Oh, what happens if it doesn't cure itself? You see that pond? Go and jump in the pond and drown yourself. And while telling this, Sultan Khan was laughing, He said, what can I say? And he said, lo and behold, after 1 week, my elbow become completely cured. And so saying, he opened his case of his sarangi and showed me the picture of that fakir. Then one day, and I told this to some of my friends in Mumbai. Then one day, I received a phone call from a friend in Mumbai. He said, you know what? We saw that fakir. I said, how come? Oh, he said, the news had spread in Mumbai that this fakir was staying at the place of Ustad Sultan Khan. And when I went, there was such a long line, that there was no way my turn would have come. So I just went to Sultan Khan and said, I'm a friend of Ramesh ji, So then Sultan Khan said, oh, really? Okay, then I will give you a go ahead. So he said, this is how your name at least helped me there, So this was the story of Sultan Khan. So it's almost 9 o'clock. So I think I will now stop and uh, leave the people to comment or question.
So, unless you are finished, you don't need to stop and you can continue.
Okay. Then I will just talk about two people. Some people did not give the spiritual experiences, but still took inspiration from their deities. For example, Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan used used to sing he was born in Lahore and was singing there. In 1947, when the partition took place, uh, Khan Sahib, Bade Ghulam, decided to stay in Pakistan. So the first time he went for a concert there on the radio, he sang uh, some song which involved Ram and Krishna and all that. So the director of the radio station, Bukhari, Z.A. Bukhari, he told Khan Sahib, it's a Bade Ghulam, now you know Pakistan is independent and now this Ram and Krishna will not do. If you want us to call you next time, then you will have to sing about Rahim and Mullah and Allah. So Bade Ghulam said, sorry, sir, it is not possible. In our music, we don't make a distinction between Ram and Rahim. Fortunately, after that, he was called to India to play, and Morarji Desai was present. And as soon as the concert was over, he asked for Bade Ghulam's uh, passport, and he said, from today you are an Indian citizen. And Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan was so happy. Now, Bade Ghulam was one person who had absolutely no religious prejudice. Actually, he was more of a Hindu than a Muslim. For example, he is famous for his tumri. I know every one of you knows that Khan Sahib is famous for his tumri. And what were the songs in his tumri? One is Hari Om Tat Sat, Mahadeva Maheshwara, Kankaramaro Jaga Gayore. This was for Lord Krishna. Kankaramara Jaga Gayore. Then Radha Krishna Bol, Tera Kya Lagega Mol. There was a Mauni Swami, who invited Bade Ghulam Ali Khan. And Bade Ghulam Ali Khan sang this Radha Krishna Bol, Tera Kya Lagega Mol. And Mauni Swami was so impressed, that Mauni Swami, folded his hand and he didn't say any because he was Mauni Swami, but he could understand. Then there was one Hindu singer came in a temple, and Bade Gulam heard about him, and he went there and asked him to teach a song. And this is the song that Hindus taught him: Mandir dekhe aaj Sudama. Bade Ghulam Ali Khan also participated in the Janmashtami celebrations. In Janmashtami, there is a crib prepared of Lord Krishna, and then people pull the rope or the string and sing. They are called Jhula songs. Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan used to like that. He used to pull the ropes and sing the Jhula songs. And actually, wherever he sang the Jhula song, there would be big crowds, of people coming to listen to him. And so you can see the bhakti of Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan. And he always, was asking, he was always was singing about uh, the Hindu deities. And many of his songs you will see there about. Now, Shivkumar Sharma believed in Puttaparthi Sai Baba. He came us 2-3 times, and every time he would come, he would, in his room, we had given him a room. Everybody has his own favorite room. We had 2 small bedrooms of our kids, and Shivkumar Sharma liked one room, Zakir liked another, So Shivkumar Sharma used to come, put the picture of Satya Sri Sai Baba, and then before going to the concert, he would pray to the Satya Sri Sai Baba, put his santur in front of him, open the case, and then, just play for 1 minute, and then he would go and take it. Now, Ustad Vilayat Khan, I consider Vilayat Khan to be the best sitar player of our generation. Ravi Shankar, of course, was responsible for spreading the music, but as far as the sitar is concerned, Vilayat Khan was the best, and maybe in future, sometimes when I get a chance, I will show you. Anyway, he believed in Devi Durga. In his biography, there is the picture of Ustad Vilayat Khan sitting in front of the Devi and worshipping her. And Devi was the most appropriate goddess for Ustad Sultan Khan because he was a little bit short-tempered, just like our Devi, Durga. And he used to sing at the end of every program, Dayani Bhavani, Mahabasabani, Mahishasuramardini. This song would be the patent ending of his concert, and this was in Rag Bhairavi. After he stopped singing this, his son, Shujat Khan, used to sing that. Now, the last person I will mention is Lakshmi Shankar. Lakshmi ji was a devotee of Lord Krishna. She would come and go to her room and put the image of Lord Krishna. And if you hear about Lakshmi Shankar's, all the songs, they're about Lord Krishna. And so once we were talking in the evening, and on the TV, Pandit Ravi Shankar's video came, and he was worshipping, and the rituals were going, and he was worshipping God, and the home was going on, and I sort of, with a smile, I asked Lakshmi ji, this is what Ravi ji writes in his autobiography. Is it all really believes it? Oh, yes, 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 yes. He is a great devotee of Tata Baba, and he believes in all the rituals, and all the mantras, Every time there are mantras being uttered, mantras being recited, you will see Raviji there, And that is true because after the Beatles became his disciples, they cut some records, and you can see that Pandit Ravi Shankar has got Vedic mantras and all that with them, Ravi Shankar is one person who never compromised our classical music. Whenever he played in orchestras, for example, with Zubin Mehta or anybody, he always played Indian ragas and then the orchestra had to take over him. This was contrary to uh, Amjad Ali Khan. Amjad Ali Khan used to play sarod to the accompaniment of Western harmonies. But Ravi Shankar did not do that. So I think this is all I have to say today. Thank you very much. This is Bade Ghulam Ali Khan. This is Lata Didi Mangeshkar, uh, who is with Khan Sahib. This is Amjad Ali Khan, whom I just mentioned, and Amjad Ali Khan and we are all there. My wife is here. I am here. This is Mrs. Amjad Ali Khan, and she was one riot, such an interesting person to talk to, but I think maybe some other day. Thank you very much for listening to me. I have already mentioned Lakshmi Shankarji. So thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Ramesh ji.
Thank you. Thank you.
This was amazing.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Well, it was your goodness that you heard me.
I tried other time as well, but I didn't have luck to hear you that day.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for sharing your memorable memories.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Prakash.
Very
Oh,
nice.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
Narayan, for joining. Thank you, Shah.
No, that's very nice information.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you. It was
Unbelievable.
I should thank you most for giving me the opportunity, to
No,
talk
you
about
are welcome
something which
anytime,
is very dear to
anytime
my
you
heart.
want to talk, it is just such a wonderful session and, just keep, and I would just like to listen to you more and more.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
would love
amazing,
to.
amazing
love
story
to.
about
Thank you.
Ravi Shankar.
Thank you.
That he was going to suicide. I mean, unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
संगीताचा छुपा रुस्तुम.
Yeah.
रमेश भाऊ
Huh?
रमेश भाऊ
रमेश, संगीतातले छुपे रुस्तुम म्हणजे संगीत नसलं तरी आम्हाला आमची इतकी माहिती आहे यांच्याकडे.
हो. नाही माझा संबंध आला सगळ्या आर्टिस्ट लोकांशी.
म्हणून म्हटलं ना की चांगलं इट्स अ सो we got some memories too, but our memories are different kind, संगीत देवाने वाटलं त्यावेळी आम्ही गैरहजर होतो.
नाही तुम्हाला सांगतो, there is one thing always Pandit Jasraj told me. He said people know more about classical music than they think they know. You know more, about classical music, because you don't have to understand classical music to appreciate it. If you like certain, let us say you like masala dosa, you don't have to know how it is prepared.
Yeah.
You enjoy it. Similarly, you enjoy classical music. Don't worry about what raga it is or what notes are there in the raga. Now, whatever little I gathered was, association with these musicians, and I took some courses also. When Jasraj used to come, his disciples used to come, and they used to give courses, or sometimes I would sit down and ask questions of all these masters.
Yeah.
They would tell me, and they would never make fun of me. That how are you so ignorant? They would very seriously answer the question, and
I would say anytime you want to conduct a session, not just about classical music, but you have many different experiences. You are very welcome. We'll just just like young kids, we'd just like to listen to the stories that you have. It's amazing.
Thank
just
you.
amazing.
So kind of you, Guruji.
Very nice.
Ramesh, you are
lucky
to get experience from all these people, and we are lucky to have you here.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
For that we thank Sabnis Kaka, because आम्ही सबनीस काकांचा जर योगा जॉईन केला नसता तर काय तुझी ओळख झालीस की आज.
This is all inspiration from Srikanji, the yoga. And there is also Vijayatai, one of my other spiritual gurus is present here, She is also another of my inspiration.
But
Nice to see you, Vijaya.
Don't say that. We learned today. I am amazed to see how much memorable experiences we had.
Yeah.
So nice. It was so nice
Thank
to
you.
hear
Thank
you.
you very much.
it's a big treasure. It's a big treasure
Yeah.
you have.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you very much.
बोलिए आपण.
Yes. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
So, my email, if anybody has any questions or want anything, my email is W Ramesh, Ramesh, WRAMESH, Ramesh, 991 at gmail.com. WRAMESH 991
Waghmare, yeah.
yeah, at gmail.com. If you want anything from what I have talked to, maybe websites for the songs, and so on, write to me. I will send them to you.
Sure. Can after recording, I will forward to my children, my
Right,
son
exactly.
particularly.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
will enjoy it. And
It's
especially
it's not 911. It's 999.
9, yeah.
I'm sorry.
911.
And anyway, when I send the recording, I will include your email in that one.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Sure. That's a good idea.
Ramesh.
त्यांचा डबल
रमेश काका
बोला.
खूप अभिमान वाटला.
हा कोण शिरीष आहे का शिरीष?
निलांबर देवता बोलतोय.
अरे वा छब्या
तुमचा काय म्हणताय?
हा छब्या, he is from India. He's from India. He's a professor. But when he was growing up, I always called him Chabya, and I still call him Chabya.
अजूनही तुमचा छब्याच आहे. खूप बरं वाटलं ऐकून.
Yeah. Thank you.
Many more such occasions and from you and getting inspiration from you.
Yeah. Thank you.
थोडे क्लासिकल क्लिपिंग्स ठेवले असते तर बरं वाटलं असतं आणखीन.
Oh yeah.
त्यामध्ये
Thank you, Chabya.
अरे you must bless me. I am really happy that at this age also you are so active.
I'm learning a
I
lot
have
of
got people
Marathi.
encouraging me. All people encouraging me.
I'm learning Marathis as well. Baba. Hey, what did you say? It's wonderful to see you, something like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mala Sahib.
मजा आ गया.
एक काहीतरी पटकन सांगू का?
सांगा. Go ahead.
एक हे आपले जे बालगंधर्व जे आहेत ना, त्यांना सुद्धा शंकर महाराजांचा त्यांची कृपा होती त्यांच्यावर.
अच्छा.
आणि त्या बालगंधर्वांच्या खूप सुंदर गोष्टी आहेत. शंकर महाराज आणि बालगंधर्व यांच्या खूप सुंदर गोष्टी आहेत. अरविंद आठले म्हणून जे आहेत ना, त्यांच्या
पुण्यातला
अरविंद आठले कुठले ते मला नाही माहिती.
हो, माझा मित्र आहे तो.
हो का?
हो. तो संघाचा RSSचा होता पूर्वी.
बरं.
हो.
त्यांच्या युट्यूब चॅनलवर त्यांनी महाराजांची सिरीज केली आहे ना, त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी नारायण बोर्डस म्हणजे बालगंधर्व आणि शंकर महाराज यांचं होतं ना. आता ह्याच्यावर मी काकांच्या ह्याच्यावर ग्रुपवर मी ती पाठवते लिंक तुम्हाला.
ओके, शुअर. अरविंद इज नो मोर, बट आय थिंक अरविंद
नाही, अरविंद काका आठले त्यांचं मी पाठवते तुम्हाला, बघता येईल, मग कळेल.
आठले का आठले?
नाही, आठले.
No, then I don't know him, no.
So, Vasudha, you have my email, then you can send it to me also. Okay.
Oh, I can do that, yes. Thank you, Shri Kaka, आणि thank you, Ramesh Kaka.
Thank you, both of you.
खूप सुंदर झालं, खूप सुंदर.
Thank you. So glad to hear that.
शिक्षण मारली शिक्षण.
मला वाटलं क्लीन बॉल गेली माझी.
आमच्या सगळ्यांची क्लीन बॉल
क्लीन बॉल कोणाला कळलं नाही.
Very real.
Yeah.
We are fortunate to have you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am
And
fortunate
you are
to have you
so
all,
simple that we
who
don't
appreciate-
realize that how much knowledge you have and how much
Yeah,
experience you have.
अथांग सागर वाहतो.
Yeah.
रिकामपण
So that's why I'm saying that anytime you want to talk about any topic,
Okay, sure,
it doesn't have, so you are very welcome to
Thank you,
entertain
Guruji.
us.
Thank you, Guruji. Actually, this is the first time that anybody has given me a forum to talk about music, Guruji. I
You can have this talk once a month.
I appreciate that.
Actually, Ramesh will also have session on that BMM self-care. So we'll talk
Yeah,
about
right.
Sure.
Sunday morning.
I can suggest topics to you, definitely.
Yeah.
रमेश छान झाला प्रोग्राम.
Thank you, Anil.
थँक्यू.
सांग रमेशने ऐकलं नाही मग त्याची गडबड होते.
आणि स्वराचे प्रेयर पण सुंदर झाली, छान म्हणाली.
हो ती चांगली ट्रेंड सिंगर आहे.
व्हेरी नाईस.
त्याचं नेक्स्ट टाइम आपण थोडं हे करू. आय थिंक विल ट्राय फर्स्ट सो दॅट as what Shekhar was saying.
Right.
So that's the reason I actually had sent you a message. But you said she's going to just sing, and I didn't realize that Tanpura will be in the back. So.
Yeah. No. She's a very good singer. Yeah.
एक खूप अभिमान वाटला तुझा. खूप अभिमान वाटला. आणि सिक्सर मारलीस.
आज इंडिया आणि पाकिस्तानला हरवलं आणि आता तू एक सिक्सर मारली.
आमची बहीण बोलती. आता बहीण काय बोलणार. बहीण थोडं वाईट म्हणणार आहे.
पण खूप नवीन माहिती मिळाली. अरे म्हणजे खूपच छान. व्हेरी गुड. दादांची आठवण आली की त्यांनी ऐकलं असतं तर इतके खुश झाले असते. ननी दादा.
दादाने ईमेल करू आपण तुझ्या या
नक्की.
All right.
Okay.
Guruji, आपण आपल्या टू स्टार्ट आवर मेडिटेशन नाउ.
Okay.
आता तुमचं इतकं मस्त मेडिटेशन झालंय.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all of you.